It's Tarek with Cyclone 3D, and I am right now about to go through some of the things that I've done for the new Cyclone Diablo Rhino. Hey guys, it's Tarek with Cyclone 3D, and I'm putting a video series together on the new Cyclone Diablo Rhino 220 Rhino series. This is the Diablo 220 Rhino series, which is the 220 series quad. I just put a video out on cutting the carbon fiber for this, and now I'm going to show you the videos on doing the different component additions. It's a little cold here, so I've got a little cold. It's a little cold outside, so I've kind of dressed up a little bit warmer, and hopefully I can make through this without coughing too much. But anyways, the first video I'm going to show you is the XSR. I'm using the FrSky XSR receiver, and let me put this aside real quick. Put this here and grab my receiver. So here is a brand new one. This is obviously not the one I use, but this is a brand new one. So this is what you're going to see in the video. And what I want to point out to you is a couple of things are going to change in this. One, I always remove the plug here because I like to solder directly to the pads on the board. And you're going to see me attaching to a few things. Now this camera here is probably not going to focus. Let me see if I can get it to focus if I get close enough. Probably not. All right, so in either case, you'll be able to see it on the other video, but we're looking at this piece right here, and I wish, let me see, maybe there. So we're looking at this piece right here. Now I have a video on this already, but I'm going to end up showing you how I do it again. I'm going to walk you through it while I play it. That's where we're putting the telemetry, and then we're going to use the pads on the back right here. I don't know why this won't. Yeah, that's the cheap stuff I have, I guess. Anyway, so we're going to be soldering to these pads right here, okay? So I'm going to turn the screen around. I've just got a video, and I'm just going to walk through it and probably fast forward as we go. So let me flip this around and let me get that off of there, and let's get going with this one. So here's what we've got. First of all, I'm going to get the plate. I like to use this soldering plate thing here, this, whatchamacallit, little vise, I guess, that will hold the components in place. And here's where I'm going to break off the plug first, the connector. You just go back and forth a couple times. It breaks off real clean, and so you'll end up, and I think you can see the mouse here, you'll end up with nothing sticking up out of it or any sharp edges or anything. It puts a little bit of a fight sometimes, but let me show you. So if I can pause this somewhere here. Okay, so these are the pads, right, on the one side. Now I'm not going to solder on this side. I'm going to solder on the other side instead. And you can see here, right here is your bind button, and right below my thumb here is going to be your antennas. We're actually going to mount this upside down on the frame. So let me get going with that and show you where we're going with this. So let's see. Okay, so these are the pads. Let me see. Okay, here are the pads that we're going to use. And I know I'm going to point this out in the video, but this is going to be your S-Bus, which is what I'm going to be using. We're not going to use this CPPM, and we don't need to use anything else but the 5 volts and the ground. Okay, the S port's not needed right now, but this is that, I guess I can't click on it, but this is the piece I was talking about right here, and specifically this piece right here is the solder connection that you're going to connect for telemetry. So let me get going and get this thing mounted and see if I can kind of speed it up here. And here we go. All right, so here's the process, tying it down. Again, here's you're using pads 1, 4, and 5, and that's it. And then you're going to solder to this piece here. So let me get going with that, and obviously I'm gonna get everything ready for the soldering, and make sure that the board is very well prepared. I put some flux on there. I'm not really big about cleaning the flux. It doesn't damage the board. I put it on there, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, I've got a million things to get done for this build. But I did get some new solder, and I'm going to tell you that after all the solder I've used, this is by far the best solder I've ever used in my life, and I'll send you the name of that in just a second. So anyways, I'm going to solder these pads, and I'm going to solder 1, 4, and 5. I've got the shakes today because I was cold. I mean, I have a cold, so I had the shakes a little bit, so soldering was not as fun as it usually is, but the pads still came out good. And so let me just kind of faster. There we go. And then what I do is, and then I'll put a little bit there. And then here's what I do. This is, let me see if I can show you this. Okay, so this is, go back. This is the cable that comes, okay, this is the cable that comes with the XSR, right? And that cable is what plugs into that piece that we just took off. I save all these. These are very valuable when it comes to doing certain builds, especially if you just leave them intact and don't, you know, cut up the ends, because you may need these wires for like a direct camera connection from a VTX, and you can just pull them out of here, or this plug, you may have something with a 5-pin plug that fits this and you don't have the wires, and these will be extra. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a certain point so this still stays valuable, but I have enough wires. So that's what you're going to see me do right now. And so those are the wires I'm cutting. Now, the good news is these wires are already pre-tinned on one side, like you can see here. So all I have to do is strip the other side and tin them as well. And so I'm going to kind of fast forward to that. And so this is what you're seeing me do here is I'm right now going to remove the excess because I don't need a lot of wire. And you can see it's tinned and it's ready to go. And since I am right-handed, I have to turn this a certain way to be able to hold this in place. But if you look there, I'm just going to basically add a little bit of solder and clean that connection up. And then I'm going to go ahead and solder it down. And I know right here the problem I have is I'm trying to aim this so the camera can see it. So I'm not holding it as comfortable as I would like to. Let me get past that here and get straight to it. And also on this solder, I had used this solder and not set the temperature exactly where I wanted it. But after this particular fitting, I went ahead and adjusted it. So it's kind of it should have been only a few seconds to do it, but I was not at my best at this moment. Anyways, I'm getting the 5-volt wire ready, and it's, you got to be a little careful because it's so close to the ground. And I just ended up moving the tweezers up a little bit so I could get a better fit. It's hard to do this when I've got the shakes, but anyways, there we go. So there's that one, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the S-bus in, and I think this one went in pretty quickly because I had adjusted the temperature at this point, and so this should be pretty instant. All right, so there we go. So you've got everything attached here, and then the next thing is going to be to put the, so one thing that I do recommend that you do is get your tester out. Make sure you are not touching anything. Make sure none of your solder got across. So what I've done here is I always touch point to point to make sure I can hear my tone, and then I take it off and I start touching the other pads. And as long as I don't hear my tone, I know that my solder here is good. I'll follow the same procedure for the power, and I'll follow the same procedure for the ground. Once I know those are clear, I move on. So there's my hot glue. I am a very big supporter of hot glue, and if you ever get one of my quads, you're going to notice there's hot glue on everything. Get it extremely hot, though. Don't just get it slightly hot. Get it extremely hot, and if it's not hot enough, get your heat gun and heat it up even more. This is going to save you on in regards to wires coming apart or the outside coming loose and actually causing exposure of the wire. So here's the, I use yellow for my telemetry, and this came from the XSR collection of wires. And so again, I've got the shakes a little bit, so I'm going to try to get to where I get this soldered. I like to pull on it and make sure it's really strong. And so what you're going to see here is, let me get back here. So here's the wire being soldered, right? And let me see if I can pause this. Okay, you need to leave it soldered to that soldering point right here. Once you do that, it's done. You've got your telemetry now, and this will hook up to both RX and TX for your telemetry on your flight controller. So now it's just a matter of gluing it down and making sure that everything stays pretty strong. So I'm going to go ahead and set it where I want it, and then I'll apply my hot glue and make sure that it sits in place properly. So let me see if I get that. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Now what I will add to this is actually going to be on the top, and there will be adhesive to hold this in place. So this will be in place, and then I can show you if I flip this around. Let me see if I can show you that. So what you cannot see here, which is very difficult to see, is right inside there. Yeah, that might actually be a good picture. Let me see if I can get something to point with, though. This camera might actually focus for a change. So right inside here, right under the flight controller, there is my receiver, and you can see the button even. I left enough space to be able to go in there and press that button for binding. So that's how small it is, and that's why I do it like that, because the plug that I take off, the connector, if I don't do that, it adds a little bit too much height, and I like to get everything under 8 millimeters on this part. So anyways, I hope that helps you. I'm just kind of trying to put this together so you can see what goes in it. But as we look here, we're just preparing right now the receiver, and now I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get going on to the next piece of equipment. So please stay tuned, guys. And again, if there's anything I can help you with, I've got all the components here. I've got about 1,000 flight controllers, about 600 receivers. I've got pretty much everything in stock, plus all this stuff behind me that I never use anymore. But if there's a part you have a question on, you're going to see in this video you're going to see the F3, the HDLRC F3 V4 Pro, and you're going to see the RacerStar 35 amp 4-in-1 ESC. I've already started a little bit of work on another one right now for a customer, but you're going to see this too. So you're going to learn about those today. Shoot me a question if you have any questions. Cyclone3dservices@gmail.com or go to cyclone3d.com. See you guys later. Thank you.